All right. It's summertime, and lots of people have been saying, "Oh, get a job, get a job, get a job." And it's like there's this Fugazi song that I love. The lyrics are great. You say I need a job, I got my own business. You want to know what I do? None of your. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, I'm an artist, and
yes we are, doodly-doo, yes we are. Not just painting, sculpting, right. We're so creative, we just like sing that beans and drink cappuccino. Classified and smart mosquito. Wait around and eat burrito. To be an artist sure is neato.
My work is never done. But anyway, as far as like getting a job and going out and working in a shop or whatever, you know. Okay, so we're in my shop here. My studio, I've talked about studio before and what I think about studio, you know. And studio, the word studio to me is a state of mind, okay? So, you know, when I say I'm in the studio, it means that everything that I'm taking in through my senses is informing something that I'm preparing to create or something that I'm in the process of creating. And this part of the studio, you know, studio can also mean a physical place. So my house, it's workspace. It's studio is artistic workspace, right? So that can be a space in your mind, or that can be a physical space. And so right now we're in the shop portion of my studio. This is where I do the dirty work, so to speak. So down here I have my metal working tools, my metal bench. Anyway, those tools are down here. It's a dirty process, and I got my woodworking tools down here, and I got my heavy duty painting stuff, and then also just the stuff that couldn't fit through the door in the studio with the easel. So the studio space where the easel is, that's, you know, also my dance and movement, dance and yoga kind of space. And then I have my sewing studio, which is on the other side here, and I have some gallery kind of exhibition kind of space, or space where I can put stuff out to be looked at. So I went out the other day, and I went to this place called the East Bay Depot for creative reuse, and I got a whole bunch of stuff for under 20 bucks. I think it was like $18 and some change. Those, and then I got 10 of these little decorative easels that somebody painted numbers all over, so I don't know if these like came out of a restaurant or if, you know, a teacher had these or somebody's display, but I'm going to actually use them as painting surfaces. I think that will be fun. And so I got 10 of these, and those two cork boards for under 20 bucks. You can't really beat that when you're looking at surfaces to paint on. I like painting on canvas. You know, I can be pretty traditional that way. But buying stretched artist canvases is quite expensive, and I just don't want to be bothered building my own stretcher frames and stretching my own canvas. So I also like reusing things. That's part of my shtick and my work. You know, it's like this blouse is a recycled piece of a recycled curtain. These slacks, these trousers. These are proper trousers. These trousers, I made these out of fabric that I purchased at a garage sale. You know, fabric from somebody's stash. You know, so I'm always looking for that creative reuse. And this is gonna get messy. Shop apron on here, And yes, it is leather, because when you're in the shop, you gotta have some leather between you and your tools and whatever it is that you're working on. So when I'm in the kitchen, I wear my kitchen/garden apron. When I'm in the shop, I wear my shop apron. So I got this when I was in college, working on my metal work, because, you know, hot things were always all over the place. And anyway, this is my drawing board, and one of the pieces of paper that I'm going to be working on is small enough to fit properly onto my drawing board, so I'm going to mount it right now, and it's real easy to do. Now this is Strathmore watercolor cold press paper. It came just in a tablet. This happened to be the last piece in the tablet, and I have worked on this paper before. One side has a finer tooth to it than the other side, and that's how you know which side is the top. So the smoother side is, I believe, actually the back, but whatever. I want the side that has a little more tooth for what I'm doing. So this process that I've been using in my work is called deconstructed encaustic. Now, encaustic is a very traditional, very time-honored method of painting, or painting medium, that includes pigment, beeswax, and solvents to create the paint, as opposed to simply oil or water or whatever, something that encaustic doesn't dry. Encaustic cures. It sets up. So I'm just using some painter's tape that'll peel off the paper easily when I'm done with it, to secure it to my surface. I'm going to make a nice, and in doing this, I'll have a very nice even regular frame around my entire piece. So anyway, the encaustic, it's a process that can be very toxic, both very toxic and very challenging to work in, but the end results are quite luminous and beautiful and well worth the trouble. Now, I've been calling this process that I've been doing deconstructed encaustic, because I'm using some similar materials, but I'm using them separately or in a different order. I'm not mixing them all together. It's more of a layering kind of process. Now, I'm not going to show you all of my secrets here, but looking at this here, I took off my long sleeve, my shrug, because I didn't want to get gesso on it while I was painting, because this does not come out. This is not a material that is, especially once it's dry, it is not water soluble. It is an archival material. So anyway, don't get it on you, or wear an apron. Almost as good a coverage as my henna dye job this morning. So I don't know if you can see in the light here. It looks a little brighter than it did before, which, you know, was neither here nor there to me. My whole issue was making sure that all my roots coming in matched the ends better. So. Okay, so here I am at the easel, and remember, this is the smaller of my two test pieces. So have it all mounted up here, and I had my layer of wax laid down yesterday, and that wax has had 24 hours to cure, and then to make sure it's hard all the way through and set. And now I have covered it in oil paint. So this is white oil paint, and we will see how many days it takes. This is traditional oil paint. It takes a very, very long time to dry. It's not like acrylic paint that'll be dry in a couple hours, or, you know, you can get some new formulated oil paints that dry, they say, in 24 hours. And I'm interested to play with those just to see. But like this it'll probably be 3 or 4 days before this paint is to the consistency where it is ready for me to work. So I anticipate being able to work on this piece on Wednesday. That is my Tuesday or Wednesday. I think I'll be able to work on it.
El pastor ya va de vuelta, pues el sol sí está quitando, va subiendo por la cuesta para guardar su rebaño. Con su flauta llamando una a sus ovejas, y les va comunicando sus cosas y sus tristezas. El flautín del pastor
bobbing it up in the kitchen. Got my babushka, I got my apron on here. This apron, this got Frida Kahlo all over it, and I got this at SF MoMA in the gift shop when I went to see the Frida Kahlo exhibit a few years back. And I saw a lady the other day wearing a skirt made out of the same fabric. It made me smile. I like it. You know, Frida Kahlo was way ahead of her time, and there's like, she like has her own cult following, you know. I even, you know, I have a Dia de Muertos shrine for Frida Kahlo, and you know, I didn't know her, but the woman has like this huge iconic mythology that goes along with her and her very famous husband. And you know, one of the things that people like to talk about, you know, and was showcased in the film docudrama that Salma Hayek starred in, is Frida Kahlo's sexuality. And you know, I like I said, I wasn't alive at the same time. I didn't know the woman, but I find it hard to believe that people have changed all that much. And so, you know, gossiping about somebody who has a larger-than-life personality and a larger-than-life story, no matter when, you know, whatever you can talk about. And I often wonder, you know, her artwork was not as well received as her husband's was in its day. You know, now, you know, her work is respected on par with Diego Rivera's work, but at the time, her work was not. And they separated a number of times and came back together, and separated and came back together, you know, and he was a notorious womanizer, supposedly, you know, whatever. But, you know, the story goes is that Frida Kahlo was bisexual, or that Frida, some people say that she was actually a lesbian and just felt like she couldn't live, you know, her true self. I don't know, you know. Perhaps, you know, female sexuality is largely fluid, and women throughout history. But it's also been something that's been mythologized and exploited kind of by men and by pornography industry to some extent. You know, I have no issue with willing adults making whatever kind of media they want, but as far as what the message is or how the message is used, you know. So I just wonder if Frida desired very, very strongly to have her work respected in a world that was male-dominated, and that personality traits that she had, and because of personal circumstance in her life, that she had her personality expressed in ways that most people interpreted as being masculine, you know, whatever that means. And then so people then made an assumption that she wanted to have sex with women. Who knows? And who the hell cares? But I always just find it interesting that that's something that's focused on when people talk about Frida Kahlo, because it's like, leave the woman and her genitalia alone. Whatever she wanted to do with it was her business anyway. Her paintings are amazing. But I digress. So here we are, and I have this burn on my hand, and it's getting better. It's getting better, but it still hurts, and I pour peroxide on it a couple times a day, and as long as it's fizzing, I know that there's still infection there, and I can see there's some yellow patches there but it's healing. This is a wound that's healing. It's not a wound that's super inflamed. I have no swelling. The skin is not hot around the wound. The only place that's raw is the wound itself, right? And I can see that the edges are starting to knit back closer and closer and closer together. But I have this salve that I made when about 6 months ago I had an allergic reaction to a nail product. I had been wearing acrylic nails, and I got this horrible infection on all of my nails. It was an allergic reaction. All of my nails fell off, and they've been growing back, which is why I have these short little stumpy nails right now, because they're still a little weird, but they're healed. They're healed. And what I used, I made a salve, and I'm almost out of it. And so I'm going to make up another batch. Now, it's not going to be exactly the same as the batch I made before, because I was unable to get the exact strain of cannabis that I used before. So this is a cannabis medicated salve, and I got my medical grade cannabis at my neighborhood dispensary. And what I have in this little container is a gram. This is a gram of a strain called Blueberry Pie. And this is a strain that's crossed with 3 strains, including the heirloom strain that I used for the original salve. So that original salve I made with True Blueberry Keef. Now, keef, this is flower, which will include some keef, but what keef is the pollen, and off of flowers specifically. And that pollen, you can either take that pollen and sprinkle it in your spliff, or in your joint. You can smoke that pollen straight, or you can press that pollen and process it into hash, right? Or you can take that pollen and use it in making salves and topicals. And the reason I like to do that is because it's basically pure material at that point. There's no flour, so there's nothing you're straining out, and I can just stir it. I can stir it in. Since I'm using flour here, that I'm going to have to infuse and dissolve all of the compounds off of the flour itself, and I'm going to do that by soaking this in some oil and in the toaster oven. Okay, so here is my 1 gram of cannabis flower. This strain is called Blueberry Pie, and it is a hybrid of 3 strains, including cherry pie, True Blueberry, and then there was a 3rd one, and I can't remember what that strain was. So there you go. There you go. Now I'm going to pour some olive oil over that. I have some bulk olive oil here from Berkeley Bowl, organic extra virgin olive oil, and I'm just going to pour some in here. Make sure I get all of the flour mixed in. I want to make sure it's all covered, that way I know that all of the chemical compounds that are topical to the flour are going to be dissolved. Anyway, I'm going to put this in the oven now. Woo! While we're doing this here, we're listening to, I don't know if you can hear it in the background, maybe you can, maybe not, but I can hear it. I had mentioned this CD before. It's called, I've had this a long time, it's called New School Acupuncture by Janela Hoffman. I don't know Janela, I don't know if she's ever made anything else, but there's 3 tracks on this album, and music at 50 beats a minute to slow body rhythm. So this is acupuncture. Acupuncture works with specific points where chi flows through your meridians through your body, and that's based on this idea that there's an optimal rhythm for that chi to flow in the body, right? And that there are things that you can do to keep that natural rhythm and maintain an environment within the body where the body can heal itself. There's a lot of things that happen, to us. Our body heals itself. Like this burn, my body's been healing myself. I've been putting some stuff on it and keeping it clean, but it's my body that's doing the healing. And as long as I keep that rhythm moving, it'll continue to heal well. So anyway, that's what I'm listening to right now. 3 tracks, and it goes for 62.5 minutes. So it's just very smooth. It's smooth, like this salve is going to be. So okay, let's look at the things that I'm adding. I have some beeswax melting shot, casting shot, and this is just tiny little drips of beeswax. Drip, 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 drip. And this will melt quickly and evenly. I'm not going to use all of this. I'm only going to use a little bit because, like I said, I'm just making a small batch. Now, last time I made this, I happened to have some royal jelly. Now, I don't have any royal jelly right now. I had a lot of it last time, and I put it in the salve. I had probably like a full 2 teaspoons of royal jelly last time. But I don't have any right now. Royal jelly is what the bees make to feed baby bees that they would like to become the queen. It's the royal jelly that makes her. It's her special bee food. It's special queen bee baby food. But I do have some comb honey. And this includes wax and honey. Now, honey itself is a nice topical. It's antimicrobial. It's antifungal. Ancient Egyptians used this to dress wounds. They have found medical records where they actually set bones and things that fractures that happened on the job when workers were building the pyramids, and honey was used to dress wounds. So it's been going on for a very long time. I'm going to cut off a chunk here. This chunk of comb I'm cutting off is about 2 inches wide and about 4 or 5 inches long, full of honey, full of wax. I'm going to put it in my little saucepan here. Oh, that is so good. Mmm. 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 I could eat this all day. And watch me eat honey. I feel like Winnie the Pooh. We got this honey on our way home from the last time we visited Point Lobos. We stopped in Salinas to go to the bathroom, Made a pit stop. We stopped at a little stand. Had local stuff. So this is honey from Salinas. We got it at Garlic World. I don't know. Pretty touristy place. Okay, so I got my honey and comb in my pot now. I'm going to add some of the beeswax shot because that's not a whole lot of wax that's in there, and I'm going to need more. So I'm going to add maybe 2 or 3, and this is just a standard soup spoon out of my flatware. Oh, beeswax smells so good. Beeswax to me smells like Easter, because when I was a little girl, I'm putting a little bit more because it doesn't look like a whole lot. When I was a little girl, my daddy and I used to make pisantas at Easter. And now I'm going to put in one, that's about half an eyedropper full of the oregano oil. I'll do 2 of them. That smells so good. I've used the oregano oil like this. I've used this, put drops in, like making salad dressing and making soups and things. I have to be careful because this is very, 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 very potent. Like this tastes like eating a fistful of fresh oregano. And now a little extra tea tree oil. I'm going to put in 2 capfuls. Okay, now while that oil is infusing, I'm going to start to melt this together. I'm going to do this on a very, very, very low heat because I don't want anything to burn. Got my oil ready here in the toaster oven. I gotta be careful because I burned myself getting casserole dish out of the toaster oven. And I'm making salve to treat the burn, so I need to be careful not to re-burn myself or burn myself on this hand. And then in my pot here, I have melted together the beeswax and the honeycomb and the essential oils. Now I let it get a little too warm and it started to bubble a little bit, and now I have, no, you can't see it, but I have some bubbles in the mixture here that I'm hoping aren't going to be too big a deal. So generally this is something that's I use for making teas or whatever. This goes in my teapot, but I'm going to pour oil through it right now. First things first, let's get that out of here. Mitten, mitt. Okay. Very hot Pyrex dish with hot oil in it. My strainer. I'm going to pour everything through the strainer. Use my fork. Okay, so that's the spent material. Dripping oil all over the place. Now, I poured it in there. I'm going to turn the heat back on. Turn it all the way down to low as it can go. So right now I'm just using my fork and I am whisking. I'm going to make sure I get all of these chunkies of wax together, and I'm hoping that I have a good balance because I didn't do any exact measurements here. I mean, what did I have? Like 4 soup spoons of wax pellets, and I had a 4x2x2 chunk of honeycomb that was full of honey, and I'd say what, a teaspoon, a total of maybe 2 teaspoons of mixed essential oils, and then maybe I call that probably more like a 1/4 cup of olive oil that I infused with the gram of cannabis and about a teaspoon of cloves. So now this is starting to bubble. I want to be careful not to burn it because it's got honey in it, and that would be like it's almost like making a candy. I don't want to burn the sugars. I don't want to caramelize the honey. I just want all of this to be mixed together well. So I'm going to turn off the heat entirely now because I don't want it to bubble. I don't want it to be bubbling up all over. It's okay to whisk in some air bubbles here. And I'm considering adding a little bit more wax, perhaps. Maybe not, as it cools. Ooh, that's hot. That's super hot. What was I expecting, right? No, that's actually a really good texture. So I'm now going to pour this into containers. And as it cools, it will cool into like a spreadable solid. All right, so here we go. This is what I made with 1 gram of cannabis.
Okay, here is the starting chord, and you go ahead and sing it.
In times when memory has faded to gray, through the years along the way, when love has gone away, and everything I thought I knew wasn't true, and it came down to me and you. And as I turned away from everyone, I finally saw my reflection. And when I'm feeling blue, all I have to do is think of all the little things you do, like bring me coffee in bed, help me ease my aching head, wash my dishes and help me mop my floor. I couldn't ask for any more.